Here's something interesting about avoidants. Avoidants know how to love in dopamine, but they don't know how to love in serotonin or oxytocin. And if you know that, then it explains their entire pattern. So think about like the newness of a relationship. You're just getting to know someone. It's that honeymoon phase, that love bombing phase. So a person who is highly seeking dopamine, and anxious people are the same way, right? In the beginning, anxious people are also seeking that dopamine, and the avoidant is seeking that dopamine. So there's a ton of dopamine going on in this experience. Like, oh my God, this feels so good. I'm getting all these amazing feelings from this person, blah, 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 right? Well, the avoidant's getting a bunch of dopamine. The anxious person is getting a bunch of dopamine, but they're also getting a bunch of oxytocin, because every time that the avoidant and the anxious sleep together, like have sex or have any intimate moment, the anxious person is tending to build that bond, that oxytocin bond. The avoidant, however, is not oxytocin based. So they are not really building an oxytocin bond, just dopamine. So then we enter stage 2 of the relationship, where the honeymoon phase is over and it is two real people in a relationship trying to progress it to the next level of commitment. Now, in this stage of a relationship, there's not really going to be much dopamine anymore, you know, especially when you have been together for a good solid few months, like you've gotten to know each other, that newness, the novelty has kind of worn off. For healthy people, what you would be doing is you would be building on the serotonin and the oxytocin. So serotonin-based activities would be really connecting with one another. So it wouldn't be the dopamine type shit. It wouldn't be the, oh my God, you're fresh and new, let's fuck, let's do this, let's do that, you know, bing, bing, reward, reward, reward. You know, it's more like, let's have this deep conversation and get to know each other. Let's create a memory, you know, let's sing to a song in the car. Let's, you know, just those little things that are serotonin based, where they are full of joy. They are real connection. Dopamine is just trying to receive an instant reward. And it would be oxytocin based. So it would be building that bond between each other, right? In those intimate moments, feeling that oxytocin based bond. So if the avoidant can't love in serotonin or oxytocin, if they can only love in dopamine, then what's going to happen at that stage of the relationship? They're going to start having a really hard time feeling like they are in love, you know? Like they can't feel the bond with oxytocin. They're not getting much serotonin when you guys are building memories, or, you know, when you guys are trying to connect, because they struggle with that. So they're not really receiving any serotonin. So they're going to try to seek dopamine. So that's why you're going to have a lot of avoidants who are constantly keeping themselves busy with hobbies or side addictions, or getting on dating apps, or drinking, or, you know, being on their phone a lot, you know, whatever it might be. They're constantly keeping themselves busy with these instant rewards all day because they're dopamine seekers. They don't really know how to receive those other brain chemicals. And they try to stick it out as long as they can, but it gets to a point where they are just not getting dopamine from the relationship anymore at all, mixed with, of course, a lot of the other things that happen, like the shame that builds, the resentment that builds, the lack of communication. And once that happens and the avoidant finally leaves you, what is the first thing they're going to want to do? They are instantly going to want to seek some massive hits of dopamine. And they're going to do that by finding another person that can be a novelty to them, a new person, because that's what they get dopamine from, is the newness and the freshness. But rest assured that just like with every other relationship, when it gets to the point in the relationship where the two people actually have to connect, the avoidant doesn't have access to oxytocin or serotonin. So they're not going to be able to feel those feelings in the relationship the same way that the other person is. And that's why they're going to feel the way they do.